Hello, world. Patricia O'Connor and a frisky Frida Reba Dorsey here, and we are the Bonsai Balcony. And this is our balcony, and this is our beautiful day, complete with a lot of hammering and banging. There's a lot of construction going on in the neighborhood. Sorry about the noise, but yeah, cue the hammering. Right on. Today on the Bonsai Balcony, we're going to talk about limitations and our lack thereof. We have our balcony. It's lit. It's lit. This is our burn these guys. They say they are pretty important because we can throw a lot of stuff on them. They go, well, they say that trees that grow that thrive on abundant sunshine, trees like, say, for instance, bald cypress, oaks, Japanese black pine, ponderosa. You're looking great too, by the way. Look at that. That's our that's our graft on there. Our future scion there is our future top to this ponderosa pine. Anyway. We have not shied away from sun-hungry trees. Our agenda here was to see what was possible and whether or not there was anything about our grow space being on a balcony of an apartment that would hold us back. So early on, I measured the front door and bought a pot that would fit through the front door and put 3 big trees in it. 3 big sun-hungry trees. And I can turn those timers, those could burn as long as I want them to. But they go on that little timer down there. That's running both of them. And so going back to they say that the sun-hungry trees like Japanese black pines and all that, well, do I get enough sunlight in my yard for a Japanese black pine? And the answer would come back, will that tree get at least 6 hours of direct sunlight a day? And if the answer is yes, then you probably are okay for the amount of sunlight. I mean, so yeah, that's just kind of the rule of thumb. I thought that in certain places on my south-facing, actually that's due south right there, but on our south-facing balcony, that looks so blue. On our south-facing balcony, I felt like everybody does get at least 6 hours. It starts, there's a shadow because of that wall when the sun comes up over there. There's a shadow that starts going this way. So it's pretty late in the day before stuff over there and that end of the balcony is in full light. But at the end of the day, everybody's going to get at least 6 hours or so of direct sunlight. Farther in, how much is that? Less, right? So that's why I have those guys. And if I needed them to burn longer than that, I could. They're 740 watts a piece, and while that did bump up my electric bill, it didn't bump up my electric bill very much. I live on a very modest budget. I just am not into throwing money at Con Ed or whatever their equivalent is. So that's very affordable compared to the lighting, especially that the amount of sodium vapor or metal halide or whatever you would have to have in the old days to make an equivalent light like this would cost a lot. And that's just simply not take $100 light bill and make it a $20 light bill, and that's probably what we're talking about. So yeah, that greatly enhances everything, and nobody stretches trying to make their way out to the sun. I don't see any large differences. I don't see any large differences out here from the outside facing to the inside facing. Some trees I rotate around, like my oaks and some of these pine trees over the rail, I rotate those around. And some trees are a little bit more single-sided. If I rotate that tree around, it wouldn't be in the sunlight at all, and it gets direct sunlight most of the day, so it doesn't get rotated as much. The ball cypress, I can't move those. That's, yeah, I don't know any one person would ever be able to pick that up and move it. So that's a forehand, what we call a forehand bonsai. It's four hands on that to move it. So our limitations for not having actual land to have a bonsai garden are the same as if we would have had an actual bonsai garden. Our limitations are still space, light, and water. So add to that wind. There's nothing. I was just kind of miffed the other day. There is somebody for whom show I have watched, and I have actually dropped links to their show. And maybe this was something lost in translation or something, but they were actually said the words. I think if I had a balcony, I would, maybe if you have a balcony, you should think about growing another species. Maybe pines aren't. I was a little offended by that. I know that I had dropped questions to them before, or said nice show to them before as Patricia O'Connor, the Bonsai Balcony. So I'm not saying I'm famous all over the world or nothing, but I'm pretty sure they know I exist, and we certainly love our pines. And I didn't start this yesterday. We've been doing this a couple of years now. More than a couple of years. I always say a minute whenever something's going to be months, and I always say we've been doing this a little while when it's been a long while. But yeah, I've had some of these trees 4 or 5 years. They're not going anywhere. Anyways, that's enough of that little rant. Our limitations are the same as somebody with a big space. That's what I'll say. They were in recently, and you see other people do other shows, and they talk about if one tree is kind of overlapping another, they can lose branches or something. It's important to have adequate space between your trees. And that's a situation whether or not you've got a large garden with 1,000 trees in it, which is what, you tend to fill whatever space you have. That's, if you're into this, then a lot of us are guilty of filling whatever space we have, but I certainly wouldn't. Yeah, at the end of the day, here's something else I'm going to say. I would never ask somebody else if I could grow Japanese black pine trees on my balcony. I would simply maybe not invest $2,500 in a pine, $4,500 in a pine. I would invest $17 for 500 seeds and see if I could have Japanese black pines on my balcony. That seems to be a whole lot easier to live with the results than just depending on somebody else to tell you whether or not you can or can't do something. Never let somebody tell you what you can or can't do, and never let somebody tell you who you are. I have been enjoying the balcony today. Earlier today, I took my time about watering instead of breaking out the big watering cans early. I broke out the little watering cans and made several trips and just kind of went through and started, hand watering, which is what we do here. We hand water everything. And I would say on our show, we have some pretty okay trees, And I didn't just get them yesterday, so we'll see how all that lasts. No, we're going on 4 or 5 years with this compilation. Same with this oak, 4 years plus with this guy, and our projects that we're doing, I would say, are a mixed bag of going pretty good and but not because I live on a balcony, for God's sakes. I'm pretty happy with the way this is our little experiment to see how we were going to do growing really long roots, and this is going pretty well. I'm pretty happy with that. We did a really heavy cutback on this literati Japanese black pine, and I know I made some people cringe with the bending and folding that I did to our crown. I just felt like we had some years invested in that, and that's like everybody's like, oh, don't screw that up. Please don't screw. But at the same time, I thought we had a lot of time invested for kind of a so-so crown. Yeah, I'm glad the way that, I like the way that turned out. I like the way the whole tree turned out. Also, we got away without doing a lot of scarring to our tree. Our tree is in pretty good shape, which I think is a nice little literati feature to have into itself. I'm still waiting for a couple of our Kodah maples to bud out. I was also thought this one might be, but it just started budding out today. I don't know if that's going to read. I'm still waiting on this one. I don't see a single little red bud on this one, but it's the last one. It's not the last one by days or weeks even. There are other trees on here that just started budding out within the last day or so, even though some of the others have been out. Anyway, I'm just kind of watching the Kodah Forest and waiting for everybody to pull up to speed. On the other end of our extremes has been our little trees. I would love. These are our little ponderosas. All of these, it framed up there, except the two in the very back that are in the little white pot. Those are two little white pots. But those are some of our ponderosas that we did some cutting and pruning and twisting to, and so we're going on a couple of years with those. I find it really encouraging that they seem to have done well. Here's another one that's formal. It's just going straight up, and it's got a mixture of some yellow to it, the heat damage, and also those are going on third year needles, but they are all also greening up too. A lot of my trees are a mixture of some yellow and some really green. This is one of my favorite little mames and one of Elizabeth Crutenden's pots. Little Japanese black pine. We started this from seed. This one we didn't. This one we bought and it came this small, and we've been managing to keep it this small ever since. This is our little peanut mame or bean. You can see that truck down there. I probably need to clean both of those guys up a little. This pot came from Eric at Bonsai, and this is another one of Elizabeth Crutenden's pots, and this is another one of our little Japanese black pines. Like, guys, got some cool external roots going, and look how that little trunk is just nodding up. I probably should see if I can get a little motion. I'm gonna go out of frame for a second here. Okay, I should probably see if I could get a little bit more motion out of that top, the way it's going straight up there. But man, look at that base. That's just that's an ace of base going on there. Anyway, I've really enjoyed, if instead of a balcony, this was a terrace, I could have so many beautiful little mames on just the terrace. And let's say, for example, that I got the shady side of the building. I don't mean anything disrespectful. I mean, let's just say I lived on the part of the building that's on the, that's always in shadow. Well, there's probably a light, and I don't mean a light, but I mean a grow light, for every situation. And I don't mean a plant bulb. You could go to hardware stores, see little bulbs that you plug into sockets, and I'm not really sure. Personally, I'm not really sure what would thrive with just that. I would think probably not a whole lot, but there's probably a grow light for nearly every situation, and you could always supplement. You could always supplement for your lack of light with some artificial light. Now, in the last 5 or 6 years, more so than any other time, the amount of heat involved for a light that makes that much. 10 years ago, to have a fixture put out that much light, it would be a lot of heat involved, and there would be a lot of other complications. But that is more doable than, and it's probably only going to get. They're probably only going to get more efficient. Anyway, that was. I just wanted to take a little time and appreciate our little trees. And I wanted to take a time to reinforce the notion that the Bonsai Balcony is a force to be taken seriously. We're not some fly-by-night outfit. There's over, as a group, there's over 1,000 of us. As people who have balconies that are into bonsai trees, there's throughout the world there are millions and millions of it. And I just want to say, don't go to some bonsai master and ask them if it's possible for you to do something. If you desire to do it, that right there is going to have more influence on how feasible something is. You can overcome a whole lot with desire. You can overcome. Where there's a will, there's a way, and a 1,000 other fractured metaphors that I could come up with that just absolutely cover this. We've grew as a means of increasing our growth space here on this balcony, and it has served us well. I would say that this is a positive experiment about what can be done in a covered environment. I think it would be a jump to take these trees inside the house. I don't think that would work. I don't think outside trees do well inside, even if I brought those lights with me. They need to know the time of day. They need to know when it's night. They need to know when it's February and when it's July. And you don't want to start erasing away those subtleties with an artificial environment. We're still outside on this balcony, and I think that still matters. So, is this it's my cork bark oak. What another example. We like our big trees, and we like our tiny trees, but we haven't ever really had the need to deal with indoor bonsai. I don't really have a lot of tropicals. The wisterias are tropicals, and I brought them in so that I would have more space out here for the sun hungry. I appreciate you. Frida appreciates you. And I look forward to watching our trees further develop and become more beautiful over the years. And I would say that we're going to be known. We're going to, like any other grower, we should be measured by the quality of our work. about the size of our yard. Thank you all so much for watching.